pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome once again to another edition of the Coles Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Saturday, March 20th, 10 a.m. here in the capital city. I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Guest menu looks like this today. Coach Daryl Asbury of the Jackson State Radio Network. He'll join me at about 10:20, talking about the SWAC football game of the week. And just in my humble opinion, Jackson State travels to Montgomery, Alabama to take on Alabama State. Then, following Coach Asbury will be Rod Walker of NOLA.com. He'll join me to give us the latest information, big news. You knew it was coming. Drew Brees retires as an NFL quarterback, just a tremendous quarterback. He will be in the Hall of Fame, first ballot, NFL Hall of Fame, in my humble opinion. He'll join me talking Saints and where do they go now that Drew Brees has retired. Then in hour number 2, I'll be joined by the coach, Coach Van Pettaway, talking HBCU basketball, NCAA basketball tournament, SWAC basketball. He'll join me in hour number 2. And then last but not least, Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. He will join me talking HBCU football. So guest menu, Coach Daryl Asbury, Rod Walker, Coach Pettaway, Brandon B.J. Jones. Here's what's trending on the Coles Brown Show. The Black College Football Hall of Fame Thursday announced the establishment of the HBCU Legacy Bowl. Now, this bowl game, the HBCU Legacy Bowl, is a postseason all-star game that will showcase the best NFL draft-eligible football players from historically black colleges and universities. The game will take place on the Saturday after Super Bowl at Yeoman Stadium at Tulane University and televised live on the NFL Network. Former great Grambling great Doug Williams said it means opportunity and exposure for HBCU players and coaches. We're excited to have this in New Orleans, especially during Black History Month. So the Legacy Bowl, HBCU All-Star Game, brought to you by the Black College Football Hall of Fame. That's what's trending on the Coles Brown Show. Now, some congratulations are in store for the 2021 SWAC Tournament Women's Champion. That goes to Jackson State. Boy, they're on a roll, huh? They are on a roll in multiple sports. Jackson State, wow, what a game against Alabama State. The final 2 teams in the tournament, close ball game, 67-66. Congratulations to JSU. Now, their prize for winning the tournament, the Baylor Bears. It'll be tough. I think of David versus Goliath. David won. Can JSU women shock of the world? And then congratulations to Coach Johnny Jones and Texas Southern University. Oh, boy. I thought they had an opportunity, a chance to win. Did they? Going away against the defending. Did I put one too many in there? Prairie View A&M Panthers. Congratulations to Texas Southern, 80-61 over Prairie View A&M Panthers. Now, they had a play-in game this past week, Mount St. Mary. They defeated Mount St. Mary 60-52, and down by 10 at halftime. The adjustment they made from what I saw, 2-1-2 zone press. They forced Mount St. Mary to play faster. Brilliant move. They go on an 11-0 run, and they win 60-52. Now, today they take on Michigan. Unbelievable. But, hey, it was a historic night. Texas Southern, not only did they win in their game, Norfolk State over App State, 54-53. I think that's the first time 2 teams HBCU teams have won on the same night in the NCAA tournament. So, hats off to Norfolk State. Their prize, Gonzaga, today. Texas Southern, Michigan. But hey, give credit where credit is due. Baseball. Congratulations to Prairie View and them Panthers. Many had them for dead, literally. But they took 2 or 3 from Southern University last weekend and then won the opening game in the series against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Can one say a 3-game winning streak? They're hot. Hold the presses. But congratulations to Prairie View and them doing well. Big game and SWAC football, spring style. Southern at Texas Southern, just quite simply, it is a must-win. Look, a must-win is every week in the spring season, okay? But for Southern University, on the road, they're pretty good after a loss, even after an embarrassing loss to the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. 2 weeks ago, I gave kudos to University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, and they're still to be congratulated for that victory. But for Southern University, at Texas Southern, in Houston, big alumni base there, baseball team is there. Can Southern University get it done? Quite simply, a loss, no shot for the spring. A chance to play for a championship, none. And Southern University, they're going to play 2 quarterbacks. What is the big story? Who's going to start? Is it John Lampley or is it Ladarius Skelton? Coach Odoms is very loyal to Skelton. And I would not be surprised. I'll put it this way. I would not be surprised he trots out on the field for the first snap. I could be wrong. But he is the coach. He is the CEO of that football program. And he has to make that decision. In baseball, Southern University in Houston, tough series, tough way to start out 14-2, a loss to Rice University. They'll play 2, I believe, today, and then wrap it up Sunday. To get involved in this show, you can quite simply shoot me an email at thecarlosbrownshow@gmail.com. Also, I have the Carlos Brown Show Facebook Messenger page open. You can send questions or comments there. Who do you believe will be victorious in the Southwestern Athletic Conference? And the football schedule today got a couple of games there. Also, if you're playing your NCAA bracket, I hear you throwing your brackets away. As usual, some upsets in March Madness, or robbers being won. Just a big victory. I'll ask Coach Pettaway his thoughts on NCAA basketball tournament going on now in one location, in different arenas in the Indianapolis area. Get his thoughts on that. Let me say good morning to the producer of today's show, Dr. Michael Prince. I affectionately call him Brother Prince. Brother Prince, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing fine.
Great. Well, we're doing fine on this end as well. Big weekend. Even though my Panthers are not involved on the gridiron, but it's a big weekend considering ASU, JSU, Grambling, Pine Bluff, Texas Southern, and Southern. You got to love it.
You got to love it. And in the basketball realm, it's going to be very interesting. Much SWAC love pulling for TSU.
Yes, sir.
Against Mount St. Mary, and they were able to get it done. Coach Jones, just look, what a adjustment.
You know, I got a chance to speak to him off the mic and, congratulated him and everything, and we chatted. And I said, Coach, what did you say at the half? He said, Mike, I didn't really say too much at the half, just reminded them what all we had gone through and been through. And they put it together, and I asked them, I said, we know we talk a lot about Weathers and Walker, but I asked him who was that unsung hero, and he shared that Nichols. He said Nichols had been doing a phenomenal job, doing a lot of the dirty work. And I said, well, you playing with house money? He said, no, we don't even look at it like that, Mike. He says, we're going in here believing that we can beat Michigan, and we're going to play to win. I was like, cool deal.
Yeah, and that 2-1-2 zone press, it just forced Mount St. Mary, who was a deliberate team on the offensive end, and they were pretty big too in the post. It sped them up. They had to play at a tempo they didn't want to play at, and that 11-0 run and critically coming out in the start of the second half, just a great move. Now it's going to be tough. It's all outdoors today, but Texas Southern, Norfolk State, good history.
Getting it done. Now, I don't know if I had my SWAC-sensitive ears on listening to the broadcast between Texas Southern and Mount St. Mary, but it sure did sound to me that they were pulling for Mount St. Mary. I could be wrong, but, they kept featuring the little guard, and da-da-da-da-da, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Y'all got to pick a Cinderella, but don't underestimate SWAC basketball, in particular Texas Southern Tiger basketball. And I'm glad that they got it done. And I'm hoping, they can pull at least one more David versus Goliath off to really shake up this whole system. Now,
back to the broadcast, if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure someone will correct me, but I don't know. Avery Johnson was the color analyst.
Avery Johnson was one of the color analysts, and I'm just going to be honest. I know he's a Southernite. He seemed like he didn't have a clue of SWAC basketball and Texas Southern in particular. He made some, mediocre or I would say safe comments, but not like a guy who was a product of the conference, if that makes any sense.
I'll have to go back and listen. I mean, I'm watching the game, of course. I'm hearing them, but I'm not really listening to them, if that makes sense. But those out there, if you were able to hear it, you can give us a quick take on what did you think? Again, I'm hearing, but I'm not really listening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking.
Well,
at
when he gave reference to Weathers, and he said, "Well, this is my first time seeing him. This guy's pretty good." I'm going okay.
Well, I think if you're doing the game, I know there's some prep time and some studying time, and he is a HBCU product, but long removed. Last coaching at the University of Alabama.
I mean, I get all that, and I understand it. But to me, I was, and I know you have to be neutral, but when you're listening to how they were really pumping up, I forget the little guard's name. They talked about his pops and his mom passing away, and very touching. Then when they made reference to Weather, well, this is his third Division I institution that he's been to. Okay. But like I say, maybe that was my SWAC sensitive ears.
Well, Texas Southern got it done. The bottom line, and there is a relationship between Coach Jones and Avery Johnson, being, both from Louisiana, of course, that's obvious, but Avery, Coach Johnson at the University of Alabama, Johnny Jones was coaching at LSU, so they have a relationship, and they faced each other a couple of times.
Right.
But Texas Southern, Norfolk State, get it done. And once again, congratulations to Jackson State on the women's side. Now they take on Baylor, and that's going to be a tough, game. And Kim Mulkey, a Louisiana native, the head women's coach at Baylor, she always has her team prepared, and they're going to come out their favorite, and they're going to come out and they're going to try to put it away early. But this is the reward. But hey, Jackson State women, they were the best, and boy, they had a tough one against Alabama State. Those were the two best teams, and Jackson State was able to.
That was an epic battle.
Yeah. So now I was able to look at an article, and Coach Dr. McClellan is on the NCAA basketball committee, and if you get a chance, go check it out. It explains why HBCUs are placed where they are, and again, we can bring it up again to the Coach Pettaway, but we've talked about it for the last couple of years. What has to happen to kind of get out of that situation? So those games like Mount St. Mary, I'll just quickly say, those are the games you need to schedule in non-conference play and then defeat those teams. It's doable.
Right.
It can be done. But
right.
as a conference, as a whole, everyone has to uplift. It doesn't do any good if one or two teams are doing well because your conference is rated low, then a loss is magnified. You almost have to go, like, say, example, Texas on the Prairie View, undefeated in conference play. And then you still...
I was going to say, still no guarantees in that.
but then the non-conference schedule, and here we go again, you're placed in a situation like this. It seems like most of the schools in our conference, MEAC, Southland, they're going to opt to play the guarantee games, and they're playing a lot of them. I've stated I don't believe in playing that many. You can get a few in, but you got to schedule smart.
Right.
And so once again, you're talking about a situation. This is the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th year, and ADs, quite simply in this conference, they just believe in saying, hey, basketball program, you got to bring this amount of dollars into the program. And then you're only going to be judged on wins in the conference or winning the conference championship. So the goal should be to uplift the conference, uplift your program, and start winning some of these games in the non-conference realm.
And I think the way you rectify that is play a stronger regional schedule. I know we travel to make the money, but some of these larger regional schools within the area or the footprint of our institutions are going to have to be willing to want to play us. And sometimes that's the backside case. They don't want to face off against us for whatever reason. So it kind of has us wandering out into the world of foraging for games.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jack says this, but you can't schedule all the St. Mary's, Mount St. Mary type of games on the road. You can't blame the SWAC if they are forced to play those games on the road. Well, here's my thing. Mount St. Mary, they're geographically far away, but you have the North Texas states. You have the Samfords that's much closer. You got the Sam Houston states in Texas close by. And you have to play them home and home.
Well,
1 year.
I don't see a benefit from playing Sam Houston, though.
Say that again?
I don't see a benefit from playing Sam Houston other than the fact that they're now in the WAC, and that would be considered a larger conference. But, Sam Houston.
Okay, well, try Arkansas State then.
Yeah.
My point is they are geographically teams that are on par with you that you can play. Now, the question is, will the ADs decide to do that? Right now they're booked in. I would say most of them, 90% of them, they're playing those games, those guaranteed games. That's just the bottom line.
It's a two-edged sword because you have the ADs, our ADs, they reach out to play these games, but the other ADs got to be willing to play those games. And if they're not willing to play those games, then we become prostitutes to the system by following and chasing the money. Because if you got a coach who has a target goal that he must reach as part of his teaks in his contract, then he's going to go where the money takes him.
Well, I disagree with that, but
I mean, we don't agree with. Right, we don't agree with it, but the realistic part of it is they have a monetary goal to reach, and they know if they play certain teams, they can reach those goals. And if they got those same type of teams with the blueprint within their region, but those teams, for whatever reason, whether they already booked or they just don't want to play you, it's hard to get those games in.
You mean the money games or
the money games? The money games. Say for instance.
But I don't think they have. I see Texas Southern. They get them all the time.
But look at where they go to travel.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. But look at what they're missing. Just in the state of Texas alone, you got Texas Tech, Baylor, Texas A&M, University of Texas, North Texas. You have other Texas-sized schools that could pay what they're going to get going across country. But those schools refuse to play them.
Well, the hell with them.
Well, and that's why you have what you have.
But again, why are coaches having to play all those games because they're mandated from AD? Whose job is to bring money to a program? Is it the basketball coaches or the ADs?
Well, the way it's structured now, both of them.
No, that's bull crap. That's bull crap.
I didn't make the rules. I didn't make the rules, sir.
No, I'm just saying it's the AD's job.
Well, you and I both agree with that.
I disagree with that, and I've been consistent with that for years now. But again, you look in our conference, most of them are playing guaranteed games because they have to, and I understand that, and also understand this: it's time to take a timeout.
It's time to take a timeout?
Yeah, time to take a timeout, and we're gonna switch gears here. Let's see. Well, let me do this quickly. Two people are weighing in. Jack agrees with you, Dr. Prince. The other mid-majors refuse to play the SWAC schools on the road. Therefore, the SWAC, I guess, is not playing them. But I think there are games that you can play other mid-majors, lower mid-majors. That's just my point of view. We'll agree to disagree.
Those mid-majors will not have the financial benefit, okay? And those mid-majors feel like they're not going to gain anything from playing us. We can play them in a home and home, and you might get 2-3 games a year for that. But for the monetary need that our institutions have, you find yourself becoming a slave to the system because the people who could afford to pay you those type of games that you need will not play you. So therefore, you have to step outside of your footprint, your regional footprint, and go and make up that compensation that's been put on your head.
I guess I have a problem with that compensation put on your head. That is the AD's responsibility, 100%.
Yes, sir.
100%. And those coaches should not have to do that. And I bet you if you talk to them off the record,
they don't like it. They can't stand it.
They're not happy.
They cannot stand
with
it.
That.
Cannot stand it. And I've spoken to many of them at Prairie View, away from Prairie View. But what you going to do? You want to coach. You got an opportunity to coach in the D1 level. You take that job and all that comes with it.
Well, you'll continue to see. And then you want somebody to be excited about coming to a damn game, and you're 1-14. No, I would not be happy. Well, that's just no. I'm sorry. I just disagree with that. But it is what it is. How can I get excited? 2-15, and then here I got people telling me, well, it really just doesn't matter because if you win the conference, but you have to play those games and get those games, and then those are the type of teams you're going to see in the tournament.
Right. So
Texas Southern did a good job.
Here's what we've done. Here's what we've done. We've conditioned ourselves, and I'm not just going to say HBCU, but since we're talking HBCU, we've conditioned ourselves for the three season term, right? We say the non-conference, your regular season, then your tournament. Non-conference, you win by how much money you raise. Regular season, you win by becoming your conference champion. And the biggest prize of them all is winning your tournament that you can go to the big dance. So it depends on the levels that you look at. That's why some coaches are able to keep their jobs longer than what the fans think they should be. Well, how is this? Why we got this coach here all this time? But when you go to that non-conference schedule, even though their schedule sucks, but they're connected to certain programs that can keep that money flowing to that institution, that's why they're able to stay around as long as they stay around.
Yeah. How many of you agree with me? The Jack said, for example, Louisiana Tech would not come to play Southern University. Maybe now, but I've seen Louisiana Tech come. I was at the game when they came. When Millsap was playing for Louisiana Tech, I saw Tulane come to Southern University twice and play. Anyway, let me take a time out. I'm going to see what Coach Pettaway has to say about it. I mean, I know he talked before about how he would schedule, and, he's not going to schedule all those guarantee games. But shame on ADs that have teams that play that many games. I can understand a few. But you got to schedule smart. But anyway, I'm going to take a time out, switch gears. Coach Daryl Asbury, he's going to join me live. He's in Montgomery, Alabama, a huge game today. Jackson State at Alabama State. We'll get his thoughts on this Jackson State football team, the big turnaround, coach and staff, and his keys to victory for Jackson State. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Drivers and bicyclists both have the right to be on the road and travel safely. And when we're on the road together, safety is a shared responsibility. State law requires drivers to maintain at least 3 feet of clearance when passing bicyclists. And bicyclists should always ride with the direction of traffic and follow all traffic signals. It's safer. It's courteous. It's the law. A message from the Regional Planning Commission Pedestrian and Bicycle Program.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 7 years of bigger and bigger enrollments, America's grade schools will need nearly 250,000 extra teachers besides those to fill normal vacancies. This great need, plus the growing public interest in education and improvements in schools, make elementary school teaching a more rewarding career than ever, a career that high school and college students should certainly consider. Education holds America's future, perhaps your future.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union has 13 different locations to better serve you. Locations in Rosenberg, Missouri City, Katy, College Station, Bryan, Brenham, and Waller, Texas. For more information, you can contact them on their toll-free number, 855-391-2149. Or you can send an email to information@bvscu.org.
Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network.
It's SWAC Sunday baseball coverage exclusively on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Join us each week during the regular season of the Southwest Athletic Conference as we bring you exclusive SWAC baseball coverage. You can join in by dialing 857-777-0000 or by dialing 857-777-0004. SWAC Baseball Sunday afternoon broadcast exclusively on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Oh, that music always calms me down. The Human Jukebox, Southern University. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show. heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. First guest of today's show, he's the coach, Coach Darryl Asbury of the Jackson State Radio Network. Coach Asbury, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
You doing all right in Montgomery?
Yes, yes, I am. We just on our way to the stadium. I hope I can get there safe. I'm riding with a guy. He has no sense of direction, but we're going to get there. We're on the campus. We just got to figure out how to get there.
Wait a minute. You're not talking about the famous Rob J, huh?
The famous Rob J. The famous Rob J. You know, we just blew by our turn once again.
Well, I can tell stories of traveling doing being a part of the Southern University Radio Broadcast Network. Man, all I can tell you is that is why they say you leave early for your destination to get there.
Yes, sir. We left early too. We've been riding since 10 o'clock, and we're only 5 minutes from the stadium.
Wow.
But I just want everybody to know I am not behind the wheel.
I hear you. You know, maybe it's time that you have a driver to drive you, to your destination.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But I had to drive. I was a driver back then. But glad to have you on the show, Coach. This Jackson State football team, a lot of fanfare around Coach Sanders and the staff, and this football team in the spring, and just quite honestly, they have performed past a lot of people's expectation. What's been the focus and why the turnaround so quickly?
Well, I think I really think that the coaching staff has really done a great job of coming together. And the kids have bought into, you're still talking about 80% of last year's team is still there. So, it's all about buying into the process, trusting the process. And I think the kids have done a great job of trusting the process.
And Coach, Jalen Jones, to me, the few times I've seen him, he looks like a completely different quarterback. He always had the athletic ability, but he's making all the throws. He's managing the game and ball security. I mean, he's getting it done on the field.
Yeah, he is. Jalen is doing a great job of protecting the football. And I think what has happened is offensively they're able to run the football.
Yes.
And so that's taken a lot of pressure off of him having to beat people with his arm. He's doing a great job of making good decisions, and the coaching staff has reduced some of the things that they're doing until he can gradually pick up the offense. You can tell from last year's process to now.
Coach, you just mentioned the running game. Did you think that Jackson State would be able to run the football as well this year? Is that a surprise to you?
Well, they've always been big up front. And I think what they're doing is they're not trying to do a whole lot of different things offensively. They're either going to run the zone or they're going to run the power. And they're laying their hat on what they do well. And that's what you have to do sometimes. You have to perfect what you do well, and that's either run the zone and run the power.
I'm visiting Coach Asbury, color analyst on the Jackson State Radio Network. Now, the last few years, of course, JSU has struggled, but one thing has been consistent, just in my opinion, has been on the defensive side. And Hampton, tremendous player, but it just seems like this Jackson State defense has gotten even better so far.
They have. They have some tremendous talent on defense. Defenses have always been able to run to the football. I'll tell you, Aubrey Miller came along and against Grambling, I want to say he had 17 tackles, and then you look at Newman, Smiley on the defensive line. You have Crane on the defensive line. Those guys are really, really making some plays, doing a great job up front.
Coach, this defense, this offense, and we kind of talked about how well they've done so far. Is there something in your analysis that maybe JSU has to get better at?
Well, last year we complained about third down conversions, but they've gotten tremendously better on third down conversions. They're executing and making plays, and it's always something you can get better on from a coaching perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I think those guys are really doing a tremendous job of emphasizing what they need to do to continue to get better.
Visiting with Coach Darryl Asbury, color analyst for the Jackson State Radio Network. You've heard most teams saying how difficult it's been getting ready for a spring season during a pandemic. And then you see early on a lot of penalties, teams not in football shape. Did Jackson State have the same problem? And if they didn't, what's the reason why they were able to overcome a lot of those things that the other football teams have had to adjust to?
Well, everybody had the same start date and the same end date. So everybody, the playing field was level. Mm-hmm. It's about the work you put in once you get in there. It's about how quickly coaching staff can get together and gel. I know they had restrictions on getting everything together as far as the players reporting, but I don't think there was any restrictions on getting the coaching staff together. So, you just have to get in and get it processed. And I think Coach Prime and his staff have done a great job of getting in, making sure that they're on the same page. And once the coaching staff is on the same page, everybody's speaking the same language. Now it starts trickling down to the kids. And I think they've done a great job of getting the kids to understand and buying into what they believe in and the expectations for them.
Coach, have you been able to see any other SWAC games so far this season?
I've been keeping up with the SWAC games during the season. Rob and I in the radio booth, and also, being able to keep up with the who's doing what, the stats, and we're just, you have some teams I like, and I'm big on besides Jackson State is Alabama A&M, and because Cornell Maynard is a good friend of mine. We battled against each other in the CIAA, and he's doing a great job with his program. I can't wait to see these two teams play each other.
Well, yeah, that's coming up. Of course, you had some teams that had to pause football activities for a couple of weeks. And let me ask you this: FAMU and Bethune-Cookman coming in the fall. Do you see an immediate impact by those teams in the conference, football-wise?
Well, FAMU, they have great traditions. Bethune-Cookman has rich tradition as well. I do see them being able to come in. You're talking about two good coaches, two good coaching staff, guys that do well with their programs. I'm excited. I thought that was a great move that Dr. McCullough, they pulled off to get those two teams in, and I'm very excited about that.
Visiting with Coach Darryl Asbury, the color analyst of the Jackson State Radio Network. And now, and here's the interesting human interest part. Coach, you're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You're head football coach at Southern Lab High School. Many probably want to know, how were you able to get out of Baton Rouge? And you didn't, of course, play collegiately at Southern University, but Jackson State. How was that process? Was it very time consuming, or did Coach Asbury just wanted to get out of Baton Rouge because he's been there his whole life?
Well, Coach Derek Price did recruit me, but it was one of those things that I wanted to get away to try to create growth for myself. Mm-hmm. Sometimes being a local kid, you don't really know. My mom she's a Southern grad with 2 degrees from Southern. So it was just a thing for me. Then Coach W.C. Gordon came into my home, and he was teaching the same morals and values that my mother was teaching. And I wanted to be able to get out. We didn't have a father in the house, so it was just mom. And, just to be able to get around some more adults and teach us a different vision and help me grow. And that was big for me, wanting to be able to grow. And thank God for Southern Lab, because I am who I am because of them, and along with Jackson State University.
Yeah, that's a really interesting story. And then, of course, you go on to play quarterback at Jackson State. Because I don't have the information in front of me, how was your games with Southern University? Was it extra adrenaline flowing because you're playing against the home school?
Yes, it was. I mean, I can remember my senior year, excuse me, at home. Just Heiss is on the other side, is a good friend of mine, and my cousin Eric Rondo, and those guys they kept it going the whole game. I can remember Coach Shannon taking me out the game and putting the freshmen in. I guess I just had too much adrenaline flowing. So it was a time where my guys rallied the troops and said, "Hey man, you need to get it together. It's gonna be a long ride back to Jackson for you."
Yeah.
So
I understand.
I can remember Coach Veit. He was the defensive coordinator at that time for Southern. And we came back, they had us down 21-7. And we came back and beat them 24-21. So it was a historical moment. And you think about those times, and I tell my son all the time, who's traveling on the road with me now, I want you to live your life and have your dreams and goals set, because I've lived a full life. And I'm not living my life through his career. So whatever he desires to do, I'm going to support it. It just it makes you think about a lot of things. This game of football is not, I tell my kids in high school, it's not just football, it's called a game of life. And you learn so many different things, and so many obstacles are put before you that you have to respond to as a young man, and it helps prepare you for later on down the road.
Yeah, I can understand. Visiting with Coach Darryl Asbury of the Jackson State Radio Network. If Jackson State is to be successful today, and I'm sure they're favorite, what has to take place on the field for Jackson State, in your humble opinion?
Well, I think number one, Jalen has to play well today for Jackson State. He is the key right now offensively. Has to continue to make good decisions. One thing I do like about Jalen, when third and long or second and long, if they're going to throw the football, it's like a quarterback instinct. You're saying, okay, it's easy to call a third and medium play or third and short than more than calling a third and forever play. So he may pull it down and run to cut the down and distance, and then he'll keep himself out of third and long situations. Then defensively, they do a good job of giving the offense a short field. It's not very rare. Grambling was the first team that took the ball downfield on them. And again, they bend, the old saying, bend but don't break, and they caused a big time turnover. So I think they're going to have to play well offensively with Jalen, continue to rally to the football, and win the kicking game.
Yeah. Jackson State has, been doing very well so far. The meat of their schedule is coming up, if you can put it in that situation, that circumstance. Last but not least, I kind of want to go back. You talked about, with your son and his dreams, but what about the rest of your dreams? You've been able to accomplish a lot of things. You're still involved in football. Does the future for Coach Asbury have him being a head football coach in the near future? Is that something that you still would like to do again? Well,
to be honest, Carlos, I really, if I had it my way, I would just want to be a coordinator right now. I still think I am the best coordinator that's sitting out, and the numbers prove it. I didn't make the numbers up. The NCAA put the numbers in the record book. I didn't put them in there. So I didn't pay anybody to put no numbers in the books. I didn't forge any numbers. But I just want to get me about 30-something guys like I'm doing now. I really enjoy what I'm doing at the lab school. But when I look back on it, to really answer your question, my son is getting ready to go into 9th grade. I think God has given me a gift right now to be able to coach my son. And that's the most important thing. Recently just got remarried. I'm happy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And it gives me an opportunity to spend time with my family. My mother is still there. Thank God she's still present. But it gives me an opportunity. Southern Lab, I work for a great guy, Herman Brister, who allows me to run my program. Yeah, he allows me to run my program. And it's almost like I'm still in college. And anytime I can help a group of young men develop, I'm happy. I've never woke up in 26 years of coaching. I never woke up and said, "Man, I hate to go to this job." So I think that's I'm happy. And to close my chapter in my book would be mean to me to be able to finish out coaching my son, watching him go through high school and develop into a young man, somebody that has to carry my last name on. That's the biggest thing for me right now. My daughters are grown, so I've been able to watch him develop as a young man.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like Coach Asbury is content. But that offensive mindset, I tell you, we could talk for hours and hours. Next time we get you on the show, I want you to explain to me. I'm just not a big fan of, and it's just me, RPO offenses. And you being a former quarterback, I'm sure you can give us some pointers on a quarterback coming in, and when he's through in his career, he's improved. And he has a positive attitude. But I appreciate you coming on the show. Coach Asbury, y'all have a great broadcast. Watch that guy on side of you, Rob J. Tell him to answer his phone next time. When I text him.
I will. And I would like, Carlos, I would like to thank Rob J. and Dr. Anthony and the whole radio crew for giving me an opportunity, Ashley Robinson, for giving me an opportunity to come back to my alma mater. It's a lot of people that say they went to HBCU or any other university, and they can't even stand on the sideline. They can't even get access to go inside the buildings. But one thing about Jackson State, they have kept me in the loop with a good foundation. I can always go home, and I call Jackson State home for me. So I appreciate Rob J. and the rest of the radio crew and Jackson State University because I am who I am. And D I love. And the school that I love to pull against. What a rivalry. Southern and Jackson State. Oh, boy. Oh, man. What? The fan base are just alike. It's like looking in the mirror. So yes, it is.
I appreciate the atmosphere. I appreciate the game, and I appreciate you coming on. And have a great broadcast. We'll talk again real soon.
Sounds good. Thank you all for having me.
All right. That was Coach Darryl Asbury, color analyst of the Jackson State Radio Network. I'm going to take a quick time out. When I come back, let's see if we can get the coolest, low-key sports writer in the world. His name, Rod Walker. We'll talk about the Saints. Brother Prince, were you shocked that Drew Brees finally retired? I'll simply say it was time.
Yeah,
it was the right thing to do.
I wasn't shocked at all. It was the right thing to do and the best thing to do for the sake of the game and the Saints organization.
So Winston, JW, as I like to refer to him, I think he wins the starting job.
I would hope so.
That's just my opinion.
I would hope so.
Yeah. TH, Mr. Hill, he's just better as a utility player. Do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that, like a good gumbo.
But he gets paid pretty good for that gumbo. He's getting paid pretty good for that gumbo.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Maybe a little bit too much in my opinion, but anyway, that's just my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm a conservative when it comes to running a ball club. You know, I believe in 1-year deals. But politically, I'm not.
1-year deals and fried bologna sandwiches, unless they do better, then you might add 2 pieces of meat.
Wow. Oh, what an analogy. Sandwiches? Not even a tuna fish sandwich.
Not even a tuna bologna sandwiches, brother. Bologna.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I'm going to take a time out. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
You're looking to expand your business or services? Let the Open Mic Broadcast Network help lead the way. With our customized campaigns, we are definitely able to reach your target audience. For more information, dial 832-213-8824. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, serving the community through faith and athletics. The voice of student athletics.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Him too.
Well, you know, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control over my financial life now, and
my pom-poms in there with you, huh?
Away a few bucks.
Nah, not today. I've been watching
money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing
oh,
to
boy.
Can make a big difference.
Oh,
free ideas and easy
I won't mess with you about that because they winning so far.
Yeah, they winning, yeah.
Yeah, I got a chance to read some of those articles.
For the footy pajamas.
Good job.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified
the one about the Legacy Bowl. We'll talk about that.
Oh, yes.
But my main focus is going to be the Saints and, man, the Pelicans. Wow.
Broadcasters are there for us. But who is there for them?
Do you think some trades going to be made? I think they may have to. I don't know. Maybe
they may. I don't know.
To broadcasters in acute
they might. I don't know.
Accident or other
of course, my Heat, they dropped 2 in a row, but they had won 10 or 13. They getting healthy now.
Yeah, they're getting back right now.
Yeah, but still, I know everybody got New Jersey crown. Yeah. This whole season's still been weird.
It's SWAC Sunday baseball coverage exclusively on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Well, we'll hold you about
each week
10 minutes.
The regular season of the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
You been doing all right?
Bring you exclusive SWAC baseball coverage.
Hot
you
mic.
Join in by dialing 857-777-0000 or by dialing 857-777-0004. SWAC Baseball Sunday afternoon broadcast exclusively on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Well, I thought we came out a little tight once again. We had 15 turnovers in the first half, and then, semifinal game like that, every opportunity that you turn over and give away, that's another opportunity for them. So we didn't do a good job protecting the basketball. I don't know what the problem was. They really didn't put a lot of pressure on us early. We just didn't come out ready to go, and that's on.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Thanks to everyone. I got the message. Thank you. I apologize. Hey, sometimes it happens. I'm going to visit now with Rod Walker. Rod Walker, good morning to you, sir. How you doing?
Good, man. What's going on?
A lot of sports going on. New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees, Jackson State and Alabama State in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, Pelicans, NBA, you got it, and March Madness. Rod, did you fill out a bracket this year?
No, I didn't fill out one, man. I kind of stopped doing that. You know, you fill them out, and by day 2, man, everybody's throwing them in the trash anyway. So I said, what's the point?
Yeah. Well, because you continuously see the 15 seed pulling upsets, 13 seeds. Wow. And Oral Roberts, Ohio State goes down. Oh, boy, I tell you, I didn't play it bracket either.
Yeah.
This will be year 2 I haven't done it, particularly during this time. But it'll be all good. Hopefully the world will get back to some sense of normalcy very soon. Speaking of soon, Drew Brees. He finally makes it official. He's retiring from the New Orleans Saints. What are your thoughts on the retirement of Drew Brees? And then we'll talk about where the Saints will go post Drew Brees.
Yeah, I think, especially people who were around the team, I think everybody sort of knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of when. And in typical Drew Brees form, you know, he waits till the day of the anniversary of his signing with the Saints to do it. You know, it was 15 years to the day. You know, that's when he sent out the Instagram post that he was hanging it up. So, yeah, I mean, it was he did a lot for this franchise, and I mean, I don't think people should, take that for granted, because he's one of those once in a lifetime kind of guys, a generation of guys that you have on the team. And he did a really good job of giving these people here, he raised the bar. I mean, people, they always thought the Saints had a chance to go to the Super Bowl because they had Drew Brees. And obviously, I mean, you've probably been around the team. You probably followed the Saints, way before that, and you know how the team struggled, and he sort of changed the perception and everything. So, not just him, but I mean, he had a really big part in it.
Right.
So yeah, it was big for him, and now he's going to television to do his thing on TV. So that was something else that had also been rumored for a while, that he confirmed it this week. So he'll be working for NBC and doing some Notre Dame football and some NFL Sunday night stuff and the Olympics, and just kind of being on TV. So that's what he'll do. We'll still see him around.
Yeah. When you look back and reflect, he's listed as 6 feet tall. You'll see where I'm going with this, but realistically, was he 6 foot?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he might have 6 feet on his driver's license, but that's not what you really are. So I know I'm listening. I mean, I'm probably about 5'9", and he's not as much taller than I am. He's 5'10" and a half, maybe 5'11". I'm not sure.
Okay, we'll give him 5'11", Rod. And if he was 6'2", 6'3", maybe his career has a different perspective, but maybe not. But here's where I'm going with this. He's small in stature. Cerebrally, he's outstanding. And it's debatable for some, but one of the most, if not the most accurate passer of all time. Do you think because of his stature not being physically imposing, he was able to hone in on the small, integral things that made him just truly the most accurate passer in NFL history?
Yeah, I think he had to. I mean, when you're not you don't have the strongest arm in the league, and you're not the biggest guy, I think you have to, you have to make up with it some other ways, and that's what he did. He knew, okay, well, this is the way I can be successful, and he worked at it. I mean, that's one thing nobody can ever say about Drew Brees. I mean, he was going to pretty much outwork people. You always hear people say, "Oh, he's the first one in the facility and the last one in the league." But I think with Drew, he really was that guy. I mean, you just watch him in practice, and he just did everything. Even like if he wasn't even practicing, he would still be on the side going through his progressions. And I mean, he just did all of it. He paid attention to all the little details, and that's what made him great. And that's what, I mean, you look at guys like Michael Jordan and Tom Brady, all those guys are just obsessed, man. They do a whole lot of stuff, and you're like, golly, why are they so competitive, and why are they like that? And that's how Drew was. And again, that's what separates the greats from the greats.
Work ethic, the little details. With that being said, though, do you think now, reflecting back, that maybe he stayed 2, 3 or 1 year too long?
I think this past season it was pretty. I mean, I thought, I don't know. There was some times he was good, and I think the defense. I think this is the thing with Drew. He had those years in there where he was good and the defense was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe this year he could have had one of those Peyton Manning years in Denver where he didn't have to be great and the defense could carry him. And, I mean, that was, they got to the, they won one playoff game and then lost the next one. But I don't know if he would have been good enough to get them all the way, but the defense was good enough where they were going to be in games anyway. And, and he had got so close, man. I mean, you look back to the no call, and you want to go back to the Minneapolis Miracle. I mean, he had got so close. I think it was hard to walk away when you get that close. But I think this year, I mean, it was just pretty evident.
Yeah.
I think that okay, this is it. I'm done. I don't really have it anymore. I think he realized it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. So close, and the no call. I mean, even Stevie Wonder could tell that was just horrible. He could see that was a call, but they had opportunities in that game as well.
Right, they still had overtime, and they got the Saints get the ball first. They got the ball first and threw the interception or something. So, I mean, I'm not want to see they just blame it on the no call, but obviously, I mean, they get their call. I think they probably get to the Super Bowl, and I mean,
yeah,
I think they could have beat the Patriots that year.
It would have been the ultimate matchup. Visiting with Rod Walker here on the Coles Brown Show. Now going forward, Jameis Winston signs a 1-year deal. Some people, it threw up maybe not a concern, maybe a slight concern, a 1-year deal. JW now is entrenched to fight for the quarterback position. Where do the Saints go post Drew Brees?
I think at least for this year. I mean, they're saying it's going to be a quarterback battle, but I think Jameis wins that battle. I think the Saints are better off if Jameis wins that battle, because if Jameis wins it, you still can use Taysom for the roles that he's so good at. When he's running the ball and catching the ball and just doing all the jack of all trades things that Taysom does. I think the Saints are better off with Jameis as a starter and Taysom still filling that role, which means they're going to have to find another. I mean, you still need a solid backup. I mean, I don't think you want to have Jameis as your starter and Taysom doing all those things. Right. I mean, you still got to have some backup. So I don't know if they're going to try to just get some cheap veteran through free agency, or if they'll draft somebody. And I mean, to me, it's time for them to draft a young guy and just try to groom him and have a real quarterback, in the wings waiting. Because I mean, I think James is going to be fine in this offense. He's been in the system for a year now. He has the arm strength, and I mean, they got weapons. So I mean, you think a quarterback can be good in this offense. And the defense is still solid enough where the quarterback doesn't have to be great. Drew Brees wasn't great this year, and the Saints still, they had a good season. So I think Jameis will be fine. And if it doesn't work out, you got him on a 1-year deal, and you move on, and you got to try to figure out something next year.
Yeah, boy, Rod, I would agree with you. I mean, draft a quarterback this year, and long term, if I put it that way, you develop that quarterback. You keep Hill where he's most effective at, and that is, I said in early in the show, utility player. He can do multiple things. With that being said, if JW has a successful season, do you think they try to lock him in with a new contract and in a more long-term deal?
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, he's only 27 years old. Again, talk about how strong his arm is. This guy threw for 5,000 yards in Tampa his last year, and obviously he had all the 30-something, 30 interceptions, 30 touchdowns. And I mean, if he cuts down on the interceptions this year, and it could be a really special year for him. But we just got to see how that works out. And I think Sean Payton's good enough to to have an offense that, suits Jamison. I think, like I said, he'll take some shots downfield now that we haven't seen in a while. Every now and then Drew would try to throw one, or they give to Taysom, let him throw it, and, in the playoffs, Jameis threw the long touchdown. I think now this will be a part of the offense, and obviously Jameis will be a little bit more mobile than Drew was. I mean, I think it can be a good fit, and I think this is a playoff team even without Drew Brees. I think they can get the playoffs. The schedule's not. They play the NFC East and the AFC East this year. We know how bad the NFC East was last year, so I still think this can be a 10-win team. And
wow,
I don't know. They're not going to be they won't be the Super Bowl favorites, I don't think, with Jameis. Tampa Bay is still good. Green Bay is going to be good. Who else am I leaving out? I don't know how the Rams will be, but that defense is good.
But Ron, I get your point, and you just want to see some consistency. I would like to have a new motto. The last few years I've said that the Saints are a very good regular season team, but just average in the playoffs. I realize
that's fair.
Transition with Winston coming in as a quarterback, but still, I think they're going to need a little bit of time. But they're in the win now mode, and we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah, I just think the defense is good enough to where they don't. I think that helps. If this was one of those Saints teams from years ago, I'd be like, this is going to be trouble. But I just think the defense can probably keep them in some games. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see. It's been 15 years since we've seen it. Hadn't seen a quarterback battle since Jeff Blake and Aaron Brooks back in 2001. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to go to training camp and see which one of those guys win a job.
Visiting with Rod Walker of New Orleans Advocate. Ron, in free agency, they've, and trying to get under the cap, they had to make some cuts, and particularly defensively. Wow. Alexander, was cut. Where is the need on defense that they maybe need to pick up some players in free agency, and then offensively, picking up maybe a wide receiver or two?
Yeah, they lost on offense. I'll start on that side. They lost Emmanuel Sanders. I think Traquan can be that guy, and they got some other guys that may be fine. I do think they need another receiver, but I think that biggest need is going to be cornerback and replacing Janoris Jenkins. He was pretty solid his year and a half here, and I think he's going to be the biggest need because Marshawn does his job on the other side really well, but there was a time when the secondary was like, man, they would just get picked apart. So I think they had to sort of fix that, and they also lost Trey Hendrickson, but I think that's a position that you got to hope Marcus Davenport can finally stay healthy, or Carl Granderson, who I think may surprise some people this year. You look at Trey Henderson he led a team in sacks this year. He had a breakout season and cashed in on it. He's getting paid now for his one really, really good year. That Trey was just kind of an okay guy, and his last year of his contract, he played well and got the money. So they'll need to find somebody who can step up there. But I think the rest of the secondary is going to be fine. Got to find a linebacker, I would have thought. So they have some holes. I don't think they're big holes. Other than, to me, the other cornerback is a big hole for this team. And I think that's something they'll have to address, either getting a young guy in the draft or, hope you can strike gold like you did when you drafted Marshawn, or, there might be some guys out there that they can try to go after that they feel like can help.
Well, we always save these shows. I've got you down. There's a possibility you see the Saints winning 10 games, and that's achievable. but that's called high expectations, and really, I would agree with you. They can do it. That is going to be the goal, and to continue to get better defensively, offensively. Quarterback, of course, it's all eyes are going to be on JW there. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of navigate through this off season, and then before you know it, it's they're getting ready to play a season. If I could, Rod, let me switch to your favorite team, the Pelicans. During the break, which some probably heard, do you believe that the Pelicans will make a trade?
Man, that's tough. To me, I mean, some of those bench guys, I mean, they may decide to. It depends on what they can get, but I'm one of those people who I like Lonzo Ball on this team. There are a lot of players who don't, but I just think I think the team, when he plays well, the team plays really well. Eric Bledsoe, man, he's struggled. But Van Gundy the other day, he talked about he likes what Bledsoe brings, as far as, especially things he does defensively. But that backcourt, man, sometimes they can be really, really bad. I mean, there was a game last week against Portland. It may have been another game, I can't remember, but I think Bledsoe and Ball had 7 points or something total. I mean, they just didn't give you anything. I just think, man, if your backcourt's not giving you anything in the NBA, you're gonna be in trouble, and especially when the game's played now. And so, to me, I mean, if you're gonna make some changes, if you're getting rid of a guy, it's gonna have to be one of those. If you're getting rid of a starter, obviously it'll be one of those two guys. And you probably get more for Ball than you can get for Bledsoe. But again, I like Ball a lot. I think he and Zion and Brandon Ingram could be a good, core for this team. So I don't know. I mean, the deadline's approaching, and it's a tough decision for them to have to make, I guess.
Yeah, Zion Williams has really improved, gotten better, future star for many years. I guess compliment him with some other players, but I really think if they can make a trade to help the team, they should exercise that right to do so.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to try it. And I mean, you'd like to see this team get into even if they're not one of the top 8 teams, you want to see them get into that play-in tournament, just be one of the top 10 teams, I guess, get in that. So,
yeah. It would even be tough. Many times a discussion about putting them back in the Eastern Conference, but don't hold your breath on that one. But it would make it a little bit easier. But Van Gundy, they put the decision, and they brought him in, and veteran coach. So let's see what happens. But we appreciate the time, Rod, as always, with the Saints. So post Drew Brees, it's here for the New Orleans Saints. Appreciate your time. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk again real soon.
3:00, man. Jackson State Tigers.
Oh, I knew you had to get that in there, huh? Yeah, folks. He has the room decorated in all blue and white. I understand. I understand. So we'll call you. We'll definitely have you on when it's Southern at Jackson State in the spring, and we won't ask you who you're going for.
All right, don't do that.
All right,
don't put me on the spot like that. All right.
All right. That was Rod Walker of the New Orleans Advocate. I'm going to take a quick time out. The Coach Petaway. And what I will do, I have a couple of messages. One in particular, I'll be able to read that question, or comment, shall we say, when Coach Petaway gets on. So take a quick time out. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Is SWAC Sunday baseball coverage exclusively on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Join us each week during the regular season of the Southwest Athletic Conference as we bring you exclusive SWAC baseball coverage. You can join in by dialing 857-777-0000 or by dialing 857-777-0004. SWAC Baseball Sunday afternoon broadcast exclusively on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
You're looking to expand your business or services? Let the Open Mic Broadcast Network help lead the way. With our customized campaigns, we are definitely able to reach your target audience. For more information, dial 832-213-8824. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, serving the community through faith and athletics. The voice of student athletics.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Him too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control over my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster, on the air or behind the scenes, who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Dr. Prince is out. Open Mic. Oh, get it? Open Mic. Now, I'm interacting with people, and they were saying, I'm good now. You know, that happens in radio. We get it? Open Mic?
Yeah,
I thought that was funny.
Look, I thought this lady said, she said, it's real brilliant for you to come up with the name Open Mic playing off your name. I said, ma'am, I'm not even that smart. It was Open Mic because it's Open Mic because we do a variety of shows. We do gospel, sports, community stuff. That's why we called it Open Mic, but I'm not that smart. But the next person that asked me that, I say, yeah, I thought of it off of my name. But then you had an open mic for real, but it happens to the best of us. But your mic is open now, sir. You can carry on.
Yeah, and I appreciate it because everyone is really let me know. That's one thing, hot mic, and there've been some bad happenings.
I was going to say, at least we know it's family program. You didn't say anything that would make you embarrassed or anything like that where you have to do an apology.
Well, one thing about me, if I would have done that, I would have apologized and I would have put myself on suspension.
Okay, well, why don't you put yourself on suspension when they don't hear you talking bad to me when your mic is on?
Cut your mic off, buddy. Coach Pettaway, good morning to you, sir. I had to do a show
I'm doing great.
Oh, well, some teams are not doing great, Coach. Did you fill out a bracket, or as a coach, you don't partake in that activity?
Well, I normally help my friends fill out brackets, and this year, the ones that called me, I told them I wasn't interested in doing anything because of the pandemic, but I did tell them in filling out your own bracket, don't always go with the favorite because it's not going to happen that way. That's why it's called March Madness, and I think it played out that way. And I know there weren't many people that picked two HBCUs to win on the first night. So that's messed up a lot of people's bracket. And then I think the biggest one, I don't think anybody had Ohio State losing on the first day. So that automatically messed a lot of people up because everybody would take those Big Ten teams a long ways because they were supposed to be the best conference in the country when it came to basketball, and they really took it on the chin yesterday.
Yeah, March Madness, you're right. Exciting games. You always have those early upsets. Maybe not as many this year than in previous years, but if I could, sir, I'll start historic night. Texas Southern University over Mount St. Mary, 60-52. And Coach, the huge thing was down by 10 at half. Coach Jones, it looked like to me, came out with a 2-1-2 zone press. They went on 11-0 run, and they're in the ball game. And that was a brilliant move, I thought. At least the tempo. He changed the tempo for against Mount St. Mary. But
absolutely, he changed the tempo. They played with more energy. They forced the issue in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
The first half, they were playing tentative because, see, I don't know if you all remember this, but I told you coming down to leading up to the SWAC tournament that they were my dark horse team, that they were a team to watch. And then for them to come in and win the SWAC tournament against a great Prairie View team, I thought in that game, defense was the difference. They did things against Prairie View that Prairie View had not seen all year. And then the other thing, Prairie View didn't shoot the ball as well either in the championship game, but a lot of that had to do with the pressure and the defense that Texas Southern played during that game. And Texas Southern they're in a good groove right now. And then when they faced in today's game, they really are going to have to focus on trying to control the tempo because they're playing against a team that's going to be definitely have the advantage in the paint. So Coach Jones has to figure out a way to neutralize that, and he's been doing a pretty good job. I thought that in the game the other night, I think Avery hit it dead on the head when he said that there have been a lot of good coaches in the SWAC, and he mentioned the fact that Johnny had been to several other schools, LSU, the school out in Texas, and then, of course, at Memphis at one time, too. So I think it's great for the HBCUs. I'm so happy that's the first time that we got win when Norfolk State won their game, that the two HBCUs got a win in the same tournament. And I think it's great. And I think SWAC basketball is really on the uptick. I think we're going to be okay as long as you can get the ADs to agree on a couple of things. Uh-oh. One of the things that I think needs to happen, we got to get out of that play-in, but it's not called a play-in game, but it's the first four game. We got to get out of that. In order to do that, we got to improve the conference overall ratings.
Right.
In order to do that, they got to make some business decisions. Most of the ADs are forcing these coaches to play these guarantee games because of the business side. It's okay, in my opinion, to play 2 or 3 of these games. I think that's fine, 2 or 3. But you don't sacrifice your entire non-conference schedule for the sake of the dollar. And I think that's hurting our league as a whole. That's why you keep getting pigeonholed as a 16 seed. And, of course, the 16 seed is going to always draw the top seed. And we know by history only one 16 seed has ever lost a game. And that was when Virginia lost a couple of years ago to UMBC. So there's a lot of things that we can improve on as a conference, but it's going to take the commitment from the presidents and the ADs in the SWAC to say, hey, we're not going to sacrifice our entire non-conference schedule just for the dollar. You play more regional games. You play teams more like now Mount St. Mary. They're not a Power 5 opponent.
Nope.
But I wouldn't want to be here in Alabama and have to travel all the way up there to play them. But you got to play regional games where you're playing against schools your size in terms of budget and that kind of thing, and you'll stand a better chance of winning those games, and that strengthens your conference overall schedule. So that's just me. I've never believed in playing all those guarantee games. I've never liked it, and I think it needs to be addressed.
Wow, well said. Because we kind of had a animated discussion in hour number 1, and if I could do this, a listener said, his name is Michael. He says, "Good morning. The HBCU ADs have to do better jobs in non-conference scheduling. Southern has local schools here in Louisiana that they can be playing, such as UL Lafayette, Louisiana Tech, and Tulane.
Right.
There are mid-majors they can play. In his perspective, fans lose interest when they finally come on with a sorry record after playing those so-called money games. Too many money games are scheduled, and this has to end. ADs can do better. Thank you, Michael. Well,
they need to invite Michael to the conference meeting when the ADs and the presidents are together.
Oh, you think that'll happen?
Yeah, they need to hear an outside voice. But no, it's a necessary evil in HBCUs. We've got to make some money, but we should not be basketball should not be the ones making all the money. Now, to help your team prepare for the conference season, you need to play outside of your conference.
Right.
All right, that's fine, but not the entire schedule. Not just to make the money. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to the kids. I don't think it's fair to the kids when they have to play game after game where they're so outmatched. Nobody's thinking about the mental aspect of this. Mm-hmm. Because like I told you all a couple of years ago, unless you got a strong team mentally, losing like that affects those kids. And a lot of time it's hard for them to recover. You get your tail spit so much during the preseason, by the time you get to the conference schedule, you can't win the game you should be winning because the kids are mentally not there. They've checked out. Yeah. Because all that stuff that you've been preaching since day one of practice, they don't believe you anymore. Oh, we're not going to win. We've already seen that. Every game, coach tells us we got a chance to win it, and we're getting our tails handed to us.
In other words, you got to schedule smart. If you're the ADs with the consulting with the basketball coaches.
Well, number one, as a coach now, in my contract, I'm going to put in there that I'm responsible for my schedule. Mm-hmm. Now, you, in your part of the contract, you stipulate how much money you expect me to bring in. Now, I have to decide whether or not I agree with that before I accept that job. But my contracts have always said that I'm responsible for the schedule. I do get input from the AD, but I have told my AD no when he's brought me games because it wasn't the right fit. It was not the right fit, and I think I told you all this before. Connecticut was hustling. They needed a game. They needed a home contest. So they ratcheted that thing up to $100,000 for that one basketball game. My AD came flying down that hall into the office. I got us a game. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, Connecticut will give us $100,000 for you to come up there. I said, man, I'm not playing no Connecticut. I said, do you know what kind of team they got? I said, we're not. I said, that would not be a good fit. And so I had to listen to him. I said, well, when do they want to play? They were playing on a Tuesday. I already had a game scheduled for Monday, and he still wanted me to take both games. Wow. Play the Monday game, fly to Connecticut, and play them. I said, are you serious? You are telling me right now you don't care about my players because you want us to get off a plane after already playing a one money game, get off the plane to play another money game the next night. That's not looking out for the kids. I didn't accept the offer, and I told him no. We had another SWAC school to do that. They got beat by 60. They played back-to-back. Monday night, Tuesday night, and the Tuesday night game, they got beat by 60.
Wow.
I'm not doing that, and I don't think that's fair to the kids.
Yeah, I would agree. Visiting with Coach Van Pettaway, the Coles Brown Show's basketball analyst, Texas Southern wins their first game in the NCAA national tournament. 2021 SWAC tournament champions. Now let's give some love to the Jackson State women. Wow, what a game against Alabama State.
Great game. Great
down to the wire again, and hats off to Jackson State, but also hats off to Alabama State. They were the two best teams in the conference.
And they showed that. And had this been a normal year, both of those teams would be in the playoffs, just like Prairie View and Jackson State would be in the NIT, and talking to Joe, if the NIT had not taken them, we were going after both of them. But they both of those teams deserve to be in postseason play because of the season that they had. Alabama State women should have been in the women's NIT. Prairie View and Jackson State should have been in the men's NIT. And one of the games that I told Joe, I said, Joe, if we had an opportunity, we would just put them against each other because they haven't played all season. You know, that was the game I was shooting for. I wanted Jackson State and Prairie View to settle it on the court because I think what hurt Jackson State, them not playing Texas Southern during the regular season. That's tough, man. Yeah. You've gone a whole year and you see the team for the first time. It's just like playing a team in the big dance because you don't see them during the course of the year.
Right, and that's why, to your point earlier, you know, there are teams that you can play geographically, you know, close. That helps you not only prepare for your conference season, but also if you make it to the tournament, you're going to be faced with a team of likability, and it's a win-win situation. But now Jackson State women get a chance to take on Baylor and Coach Kim Mulkey, and Baylor, Coach Mulkey, a former collegiate star at Louisiana Tech, she's going to come for the throat early.
Oh yeah. She's not playing, and she's just got her ladies so lasered in that they don't care. They don't look at the uniform of the other team. They just play. They got certain things that they want to get accomplished in the game, certain goals, and they just go after their goals no matter who they're playing.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a tough draw for them today.
But you're right. But to your point about the conference as a whole, how to get a better seeding, they know what needs to be done. It's a matter of just doing it. And you know, right now, most of the teams, basketball teams in this conference and ADs, they stipulate that you're going to have to bring in the dollars. That's the most important thing, and I just totally disagree with it, but that's just my opinion. Now, last but not least, speaking of women and men's basketball, did you get a chance to look at the article about collegiate basketball players are kind of on the men's side complaining about the food, and then the women are saying the inequities as far as look at, and you've seen the pictures on social media, the weight room for the men, the weight room for the women, the meals, et cetera. Coach Pettaway, what's the deal on that?
Well, let's start with the more pressing one right now, the inequities in the weight rooms. That somebody dropped the ball. Now, who that somebody is, we don't know. They're putting everything on President Emory because he's in charge. But he's the general. His lieutenants and majors and colonels, they let him down because there never should have been a difference like that when it comes to the setup for the weight rooms. You've got the same athletes, just male and female, almost the same amount of teams. It's 4 less than the women. They should have had the same facilities from day one. Now, since this morning, you know, that weight room looks totally different. You know, they got the pink, they got the curtains up, they got the lights on to make the place look good, and they put a great deal of weights in there for the ladies. But see, it never should have come to that. It should have been done day one. The same weights that they got in there now, that's the way they should have set that place up in the beginning, because we're talking about billions of dollars that they're already getting for this tournament. So why not spend some of that money on the people that are making it possible, the athlete, the student athlete? And when it comes to the food, the only thing that I can say about the food, they're having a problem now because how do you deliver great food to the kids during the pandemic when you're not allowed to come together as a team and eat a meal because of the situation. They got so many teams up there. They got to deal with carryouts and stuff like that. Individually wrapped food to give to keep the virus from mutating up there. So the part of the food situation, I'm putting it on the virus, but I think they should be giving the kids more options than what they have. I think the problem that the kids are saying is they don't have enough options because the food that they're offering, some of those kids, they're not interested in eating it. They want other options. So how do you prepare those other options and still make it safe for the players? I think that's the big issue.
Yeah. Well,
but money should not be the reason, because they've got more money than they'll ever be able to spend, and they've already earned this off of the backs of these kids.
Yeah. Well, shame on the NCAA. Sometimes it means no clue at all. Sometimes, but it hit social media, it hit the airwaves, the new waves, and you have those on the other side of the equation. They would say, well, we've raised a spoiled society. They can toughen it up for however time it is. But I agree with you. Let's be equal with our treatment. What you do for the men, you must do for the women. And if I had a daughter, which I don't, and she was a student athlete, I would expect the same quality treatment.
Right, I agree. And from a guy that had two daughters that were in sports, I agree. They should be afforded the exact same thing that the men are getting. Even though we already know, everybody knows that it's no secret that the men's sports, in some cases now, in the men's sports, they're the ones that are driving the dollar. But there's some women programs across this country. They do just as well as their men. You take Connecticut. That man, Army has been winning and bringing money into that university a whole lot longer before the men were doing it. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on where you are and what sport. Some of them they're tit for tat. You go out to Baylor. Both pro men's and women's basketball programs are doing a great job. So money should not be an issue when it comes to the NC2A. With right. Some of the institutions, you'll see more of that, the inequality, because they're going to push the money toward the men's programs, because in their minds, that's what drives their fans and their money base. So that's not to say it's fair. It's not fair.
Right. Title IX is still alive and well.
And it should be. And right. You know what? It needs to be enforced more.
Yeah. Well, a listener, Michael, says they could have hired 5 or 6 caterers to prepare the food for these basketball teams in Indy. I agree. Money, you're making so much. Spend it. That they have a great atmosphere. And
but you know what though? Mm-hmm. Even with that being said, if you hire 5 or 6 different chefs, you got multiple teams that think multiple ways. What those chefs are preparing may not be good for all the teams because of their different locales. In different regions of the country, some of those kids expect certain things to eat. And it could be different from the east to the west to the south and north.
Wait a minute, Coach Pettaway, are you saying, like, for example, if I was an athlete, I'm a Southern boy, will I have the opportunity to have grits in the morning?
Right, and then you get somebody from somewhere else, from California, what is a grit? I don't want that.
And let me guess, you put sugar on your grits, not salt. Oh my goodness,
man! I don't touch it. See, I'm one of those. My last time eating grits, I was in like the 3rd grade.
What?
Yes.
Wait a minute, Coach.
3rd grade.
I'm gonna have to get
3rd grade. You don't bring a grit anywhere near me.
What?
Yep. That's not. And see, that's what I'm saying. You got it. The food issue has to be done, and I think it's the other problem they got. Those teams aren't in the same place. So you got hotels that all around that metro area somebody was talking about yesterday. One of the teams had to ride the bus an hour to their venue to play in. Now that seems to be extreme.
Well,
on game day, you got to travel an hour to get to the arena. Come on.
Well, Coach Pettaway, I had the privilege of being part of the Southern University Radio Football Network, and Southern played at the Circle City Classic, and we were not responsible. The radio station made our itinerary, right?
Right.
And Indianapolis is spread out like I guess most big cities, and we were like 20, 30-minute drive, I'm assuming, and we were on the outskirts. But they have the wherewithal to get it done, the NCAA.
Oh, yes. Yeah, they just got they got to release the money and give these opportunity, give more opportunities for those kids to have a larger selection of food. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, and you know, some of the athletes, they have to eat a certain way. They train
right
a certain way, so they have to have certain. You know, forgive me for bringing up grits because I'm sure they're not eating grits. You know, as a student athlete, but they have to have the proper nutrition, proper foods to help their bodies to compete.
Right. And they're used to their own dining facilities, what they're accustomed to on their campuses. So you're gonna have the food issue, and I don't think it's quantity. I think it's selection. Yep.
Well, Coach Pettaway, Edwin says a Southern man who doesn't eat grits. Wait a minute, Coach Pettaway, you're a native of the South?
No, you know, I grew up in Indiana. I left Indiana and came. My father is a minister.
Now it makes sense.
Right. I grew up in Indiana, and I came home from school, and my mother had the grits there, and I could not eat them anymore, man.
Well,
and so my father told her, "Don't force me," and I have not put grits in my mouth since I was in elementary school.
Well, we're on tour together. Then I'll just have your portion of grits if they're at there. No, well, actually, after I've been on this change of lifestyle, I haven't had grits in a long time. Oh, you gotta love it. We're talking grits on the sports show podcast. You gotta love it. But so you're a cream of wheat guy.
Yeah, I do the cereals any day. I do cereals any day, but no grits. In fact, I won't even occasionally when my wife has them, I wouldn't even wash. I don't even like the feel of grits in the pan trying to wash dishes. I don't deal with it.
How many ways can I eat grits? 1,000 ways. I love them. Well, I used to love them. But now the health director, she don't play that.
Right.
But anyway,
right.
Well, Coach, as always, it has been enlightening to visit with you, and some big games in the NCAA tournament today, tomorrow. Is there one particular game that you're going to be very interested in seeing today and tomorrow?
Well, yeah, I definitely want to see both HBCUs. I want to see them go up against the top teams, and then I'm going to let the chips fall where they may. I want to see if the University of Alabama is for real. We'll find out today when they play, and I think it's just going to be a great tournament. And I think there will be some upsets today.
Well,
because that's what March Madness is.
Someone in this household is pulling for LSU, St. Bonaventure. Could that and those 8 and 9 games are always a toss-up. They're so evenly matched.
Right. And then you know, a lot of people were saying that a lot of people were pulling for Patrick Ewing and against Colorado, and right now they're down by 11. So Colorado's not taking it for granted. So they're coming out playing real well, and it's about 8:39 left in that game. You know, this is basketball overload for me. Friday I had 4 different games on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
and then I've started today. Today I've only have 2 on so far. Got Memphis and Dayton and Colorado and Georgetown. Memphis is up 27-25 with a minute 15 left. I thought that was a good matchup. The two black head coaches going up against each other at Dayton and Memphis. And then, like I said, Georgetown is trailing right now 15-25 with 8:39 left in the first.
Well, I'm always going for the underdog unless it's my college team that's in there. So March Madness. There's going to be some upsets, some last-second shots. Hopefully no controversial calls. But and
then I'm going to look at one football game today.
Jackson State and Alabama State?
All day.
Yes, indeed. Well, Jackson State, I'm telling you, they've been playing pretty well, and some people have crowned them already for the SWAC championship game.
And I was really looking forward to that A&M and PV game today, but you know that we got to wait a little bit longer for that matchup.
Yeah.
Oh no! I'm okay.
PV and Alabama.
The smoke is on the slow roll. The smoke is on the slow roll. You know, a lot of people don't want that smoke, but you know it's on the slow roll.
Well, the team that coined that phrase.
Hold on, Coach. Now you doing what my daddy said I shouldn't do when I was a little boy. He said, "Son, don't you buy no wolf tickets, and you sure better not sell them. You sure better not sell them."
There you go.
Sound like you offering up wolf tickets, Coach.
Yeah. They say. Don't let your behind overload your mouth.
Don't let your butt write a check that your mouth. Don't let your mouth write a check that your butt can't pay for.
There you go.
Now, wait a minute, now, Coach. Am I gonna have to put some spring water up against you too?
Oh no. We won't have to do that. It's just gonna be a great matchup, and hopefully we'll both be in a position where we can communicate while the game's going on.
Well, I think we could arrange that, sir. I think we could arrange that.
Coach Pettaway, you just missed the opportunity to get a good case of spring water.
Hey, you hush. Because the redemption is something, brother. We'll deal with you later on down the road.
Yeah. All right. Take care, Coach Pettaway. Appreciate your time.
All right, everybody, be blessed and stay safe.
Yes, sir. That was Coach Van Pettaway here on the Carlos Brown Show. We're going to take a quick time out and close it out with Brandon, B.J. Jones. Wow, trending is grits on the Carlos Brown Show. Marlon said, I ate grits yesterday. Oh, I'm getting hungry. We'll be back after this quick timeout.
And when we're on the road together, safety is a shared responsibility. State law requires drivers to maintain at least 3 feet of clearance when passing bicyclists. And bicyclists should always ride with the direction of traffic and follow all traffic signals. It's safer. It's courteous. It's the law. A message from the Regional Planning Commission Pedestrian and Bicycle Program.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 7 years of bigger and bigger enrollments, America's grade schools will need nearly 250,000 extra teachers besides those to fill normal vacancies. This great need, plus the growing public interest in education and improvements in schools, make elementary school teaching a more rewarding career than ever, a career that high school and college students should certainly consider. Education holds America's future, perhaps your future.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union has 13 different locations to better serve you. Locations in Rosenberg, Missouri City, Katy, College Station, Bryan, Brenham, and Waller, Texas. For more information, you can contact them on their toll-free number, 855-391-2149. Or you can send an email to information@bvscu.org.
Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Welcome back to this final segment of the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Last guest of today's show, Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. B.J., good afternoon to you, sir.
Man, good afternoon, Carlos. How's it going? Good morning, Carlos.
Well, yeah, good morning for me. You're still in Eastern Standard Time, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to have the proper time of day for you. Good afternoon. In 11 minutes, it'll be good afternoon for me. But, BJ, let's get right into it. SWAC football schedule, a very important game. Southern and Texas Southern. You have Jackson State and Alabama State, Grambling State and UAPB. Up first, Southern and Texas Southern tonight. Is this a must-win for Coach Odoms and the Southern University football program?
Yes, because if you lose to a football team that has not won a conference game since 2018, the image of your program is hurt. It's tarnished badly. So, yes, it's a must-win. And if you look at this Southern and Texas Southern matchup, Texas Southern has played Southern close the last 2 years.
Yes.
You remember Southern got out of Dallas, Texas by the skin of their teeth. So it'll be interesting to see how this game plays out tonight.
You're right, BJ. 28-21 last year in Dallas, October 19, 2019. October 20th, 2018, 21-7 in Dallas, Texas. In Houston in 2017, 33-7. Quarterback play. You got two quarterbacks, you got none. The old saying. Who takes the first snap, in your humble opinion, today for Southern University?
I would guess that it would be Lampley that would take the first snaps. But I've been wrong before. I would think that you would see Lampley first, and then you'll start getting your doses of Ladarius Skelton, if I had to guess.
See, I believe it or not, you're probably right. But I would not be surprised if Skelton takes the first snap. But I'm not the coach. If I was a coach, he would be fourth string right now. But anyway, running game has to really kick in now for Southern University because they are a run-oriented team. It's not a good feeling for me. And now that they're not running the ball well or consistently well, they're really handicapped because they're one-dimensional to me. Albeit now, Lampley threw for over 200 yards, but you got to see that consistently. I like to see a balanced team offensively, no matter what team it is, pass to run, BJ.
And you have to be that way, or defenses will load up on either the run or protect against the pass against you. So, for Southern, it starts with that offensive line. They got to be able to open the holes up for whoever the running back is, so you can get an effective running game going.
And for Texas Southern, quite simply, BJ, had opportunities against Prairie View, lost 20-19. They have quarterback issues, but a young transfer came in. Well, I say transfer student. A quarterback came in and did pretty well. Will you see two quarterbacks for Texas Southern today?
If I would guess, I think you would see the transfer from Alcorn.
Yeah.
He looked solid. Man. That Texas Southern offense, one of the things they did well was run the football. That was one of the things they did well. And that was shocking going against that Prairie View defense that returned so many starters. So if they can run the ball tonight against Southern, that bodes well for Texas Southern because you take pressure off of whoever the quarterback may be.
On the spot, BJ. Wow. Somehow I like to do that. Who wins this ball game tonight?
I think Southern gets it done against Texas Southern. I think Southern's going to be too much. And if you look at history, Dawson Odoms, after an embarrassing loss, give him a week to prepare. Southern looks completely different than what you saw in the last time out. That's usually the history with Dawson Odoms, and if you're a part of the Jaguar faithful, you hope that history continues.
Well, 7:30 tonight in Houston, Southern's second home away from Baton Rouge. Jackson State and Alabama State, the game of the week in the conference. your thoughts on that ball game?
Well, Alabama State, we saw them a couple of weeks ago when they opened up the season against Southern. We saw what they looked like. I like Ryan Nettles, the quarterback. I like what they do defensively. The problem, if you look at the history of this Alabama State, Jackson State series, the road team is usually the team that wins it. Alabama State hadn't beat Jackson State in Montgomery since 2010. Jackson State have gone in 12, 14, 16, and 18 and have beaten the Hornets. But on the flip side, when they play them in Jackson, Alabama State comes out with the win. The problem tonight is the game is in Montgomery, and if history repeats itself, you're going to have the Tigers walking out of Montgomery with the win. But I think this should be a pretty good matchup because I think that this defense that Jackson State will see will be the best one that they've seen so far this season.
Yeah, and I think they're coming after the young quarterback. It's the second start. That's going to be the difference. If the O-line can handle their pass protection and they're able to run the football, but it's going to be awfully tough. Look, you know how I feel about Jackson State, but I have to give credit where credit is due. They have exceeded what I thought they would do in the spring. But hey, I was wrong.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
I mean, they look like they've improved in the pass game in that last ball game against Valley. We'll see if they keep that up today going up against Alabama State.
Yeah, they're coming, quote unquote, into the tougher part of their spring schedule. No room for error in a shortened season. Grambling State and UAPB. Some people still are not giving UAPB the credit, albeit one game. They defeated Southern 33-30. Now they go on the road. What does that say if they're able to come into Grambling and get a victory? Then they defeated Southern at Southern. Are they in the driver's seat along with Prairie View?
Yes, they win today, man. It keeps them sitting pretty when you start talking about a division title. Not a lot of teams can say that they've beaten Southern and Grambling in the same year. That list is short. Mm-hmm. But if Arkansas Pine Bluff is able to do that, not only 2 games in, they've exceeded expectations that anybody had on them for the spring. So I think that this is a very important game for Arkansas Pine Bluff. And if Grambling loses this game, drops down to 0-3, man, the Boo Birds up in northern Louisiana will be booing loudly.
Well, what is that? I can hear them now. A little bit. Mark Orlando stepped down as Graham's offensive coordinator. They've had the same problem. It looks like in a spring season. And BJ, everybody has, like Coach Asbury said, they had to deal with the same thing. So no one has an advantage one way or the other. But Grambling State, they have a veteran quarterback. Southern has a veteran quarterback. You've got quarterbacks that have been in the system 3 or 4 years. And they are still struggling, whether it's attitude or is it just not, they haven't gotten better. I don't have a high tolerance for that kind of stuff. If it's a freshman young quarterback you're working in, I can understand that. What am I not seeing?
The work that you do when no one's watching shows up when everybody's watching. And that's the key to football. If you're struggling with the same thing year 3 that you were in year 1, how hard are you working on that thing? And Grambling has not had a revolving door at the offensive coordinator position. So a lot of question marks in the quarterback position in the state of Louisiana. We're talking about Southern and Grambling.
Yeah, well, if you have an established quarterback and you see some teams, they look to be almost at mid-season form. Mm-hmm. Penalties, turnovers, and I remember what you said. It's going to be sloppy at first. Wow, just brilliant statement, brilliant. You've seen evidence of that. You yes. really have. So, and we talked about BJ, the most improvements from game 1 to game 2. Well, throw that out for some teams. They regressed.
Yep. I mean, if you look at the case for Southern, they actually looked worse against Arkansas Pine Bluff than they did against Alabama State. But you hope that changes tonight, or not. Man, it's going to be rough down in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and all of those friends who, and colleagues who text me about, Well, he's done so much. He's been great. He has brought them to a tough time. I get that. I understand that. We clap. We clap. But at the end of the day, the CEO of the program, we expect more. BJ, as always, we appreciate the time. We'll talk again next week. We'll have a report on what happened today.
Man, I'm looking forward to it, Carlos. Enjoy the game today.
All right. You still on this Sunday night?
Oh, yeah, man. Doing Sunday night. And I got to follow up with Coach Cutaway. I don't eat grits either, and I'm from the South.
Shame on you. Major deduction to Brandon P.J. Jones. You don't eat grits, man. What is going on here? Oh, have a good weekend. I'll put you down for cream of wheat oatmeal.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right. You too. Want to thank all of our guests. Coach Darryl Asbury, Rod Walker, Coach Van Pettaway, Brandon P.J. Jones, today's producer, Dr. Michael, Brother Prince, and I wonder if he eats grits. I don't know.
I surely do, with salt and
Dr.
pepper.
Prince, you're a
with
good
salt
man.
and pepper. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. No sugar on those grits, buddy.
No sugar. And even though this is a true note, grits are probably the least nutritional food on the food chart. They have no nutritional value, but they sure taste good.
They're comfort food. With love. Quickly, who do you have on the show tomorrow night?
We're going to have Prairie View A&M University's head base football coach, Eric Dooley, and Texas Southern's head football coach, Clarence McKinney.
Well, hopefully he'll talk about a not successful game, but you get my drift on that one.
Yeah, the world.
Well, and if Texas Southern wins, he'll have a lot of good things to say.
Absolutely.
Well, you have a great show. Don't forget, you can, if you want to support this show, you feel like it. By the way, want to thank a gift from last week to support the Carlos Brown Show. It's the Carlos Brown Show via Cash App. We appreciate anything that you feel worthy of giving us. It will go to a good cause. Until next Saturday at 10 a.m., as always, peace and God bless.